I hope you guys have enjoyed those around for the Crisis Core Nibelheim incident. We're back up on this though. Chrizophrenic praying, symphonic crits, rain, whatever you want to call it. We're here for it. Let me go ahead and change something real quick. I'm going to turn that off so that way we can go ahead and get the whatchama calls it, the depression meter. That's probably going to come in handy. As handy as it can get. Let's go ahead and start with the opening. You know what? I like the opening. I think this is a good opening song, if you will. The reason behind it, which is, of course, I don't know, the song's about rain, and it's been raining a lot. Anyways, for those of you guys who are here for the symphonic rain portion, I got a new microphone. Maybe you guys can tell. Hopefully you guys can tell. If there is any issue, if there is an audio issue, please just let me know. So I got some new computer parts for Christmas. This is scary receptive. I don't know if it was just the amount of RAM that I got or the SSD, but this is scary fast now. Feels like I'm actually playing the piano and I don't have to deal with the weird input lag that I was having to deal with before. This song is a slapper. Audio's good, by the way. Even in the rain. Natalia, can you tell a difference from my old mic? Well, that's good enough for me. Hopefully more clear, too. Alright, well, it sounds more like my actual voice. That's preferable. I will take that anytime. No new record. Alright, let's get this show on the road. There's no decisions for me to make tonight. We're on Christmas Eve. According to the walkthrough that I'm using, it says, when Torta asks you to wait, just save the game. Come back after you beat the game and you get an extra ending. So that's what we're going to do. I don't think she's asked us to wait yet, though. Oh, so we read this. Forney wants to go over to Torta's house. We've read this. Okay, right here. She said she wanted to come anyway, so there must have been a good reason. I was thinking of these things as we walked when Forney whispered to me. It is all plot now. I thought this might be the last time. You mean what we were talking about before? I think I'll be going to Torta's house a lot from now on. Well, yeah, that's probably true. Is this about Nina? That too. Maybe. You really like her entire family, don't you? I summed up my psychoanalysis with a joke. I wondered why she wanted to see Nina again, whom she'd never even met. She was blind and her legs weren't so good. That was the best reason I could think of, but Forney couldn't talk to her and Nina couldn't hear her sing. But if she still wanted to see her, there was no harm in bringing her. I didn't think any more answers were forthcoming, so I headed to her house in silence. Just a minute, I heard a voice and the door open. Sorry to keep you waiting, you're a little early today. Yeah, I guess. I couldn't very well say that Forney had rushed me. I'm glad to see you, Chris. Hello, thank you for having me again today. My, aren't we speaking politely? I could do nothing but ignore Forney at this time. Long time no see. Oh, it's been 2 weeks. It's been hard. It's fine. She spoke over me. So, you'll let me hear your practice again today? Oh, yeah. Our performance is still poor and we only practiced one song. I'm sure it won't be very interesting, though. Chris, I'm singing with you, so stop talking so humbly. Why do you always speak so formally when you get here? Seriously. I was already used to this oft-repeated conversation, so I ignored it. The fact that I kept doing it nonetheless was probably my fault for not being able to use polite language the whole time. Well, let's get to it. We have to practice a lot today to make up for tomorrow. An admirable idea. That means I have to get inspired too. She started getting ready almost before she was finished talking. I casually moved Forney from my soldier to the table and got to the music stand and my fortelli at the ready. I glanced at Forney as I moved. She was sitting on the edge of her table swinging her legs. She said she wanted to see Nina, but she wasn't looking at Nina at all. Maybe she was feeling lonely because I was practicing with Torta so much? I'm ready. Okay, I'll be done in a second. I touched the keys lightly and struck a few chords to get my fingers used to it. Do you need to warm up your voice? I sang a couple of times this morning, so I'm ready to go. Alright, let us begin. At almost the same time I placed my fingers on the keys, she looked at me and poised herself. At that moment, the first note of her song rang out. I had already forgotten myself and had become one of the many intermingled notes. Even my heart, to feel that was light now. At the same time, it felt like I was hearing it from far away. I was able to look around, and even though I wasn't moving in my head, it felt like I could see everything around me clearly with my own 2 eyes. The sound bouncing off the walls seemed like noise to me, and I put even more power in my fortelli to drown it all out. Torta's voice had plenty of strength to assist me. Her pianissimo voice sounded like a whisper in my ear, and the fortelli's voice was a shout. The sound vibrations just felt good. Silence descended upon the room. Even breathing seemed a nuisance in that silence, and what finally broke it was Nina's applause. You've gotten even better than before. Thank you. Torta answered slightly exhausted, perhaps from a certain sense of accomplishment. I felt the same and felt more tired from practicing for an hour. Thank you very much, but we can't be satisfied just yet. Well, yeah, that's to be expected. Wasn't that the best performance you could give under the current circumstances? This secret's like slower, huh? This is a different secret. Maybe, but you can't praise Chris too much. He'll slack off. I searched for a retort, but I couldn't find the words. Giving up on wondering what to say, I moved my gaze to Forney, who must not have felt like anything, and was looking at me slightly. I realized that she didn't sing like when Torta and I practiced at my apartment, and instead just listened quietly. I couldn't praise her for it, so I just sent a smile her way. Forney returned the smile, so I think she understood what I said. Anyway, last time was the same, but do you mind if we practice normally? Of course not. I'll do the cooking again today, so I'll excuse myself. It's a bit early yet, though, no? I just got here. Well, I'm making something a little different today. It's going to take a lot of my effort. I see. I'm looking forward to it. And you'll be in the kitchen, right? We'll practice here, so I'm certain you'll hear. Yeah, I heard you well last time, so I'm not worried about not hearing you. Saying this, Nina went to the kitchen with the same sure steps as before. I thought so last time too, but I'm glad Nina seems so healthy. Her legs seem to have been good days and bad days. It's mostly good when you visit, so it'd be nice if you came by more often. I will as much as I can. Thank you. Okay, let us continue our practice. Yeah. In that vein, we continued practice like always. Forney must have gotten bored as she started singing with us, and since I couldn't hear her, I couldn't really throw myself into practice either. I really enjoyed it myself, and it wasn't a substitute for serious practice. I was having so much fun that Torta was even becoming suspicious. I said I'd practice more seriously, but I'd also gotten used to that at some point before, and before I knew it, I was having more fun at practice than I ever had before. What's up, Flacco? How you doing? How's refrain treating you? Then, at a time that would be a little too early to stop practice, Nina came out of the kitchen and waited until we stopped playing before speaking. Sorry to interrupt the practice. She continued as though it was hard for her to say. I don't have quite enough ingredients. Can you go shopping? I went shopping the day before yesterday. That wasn't enough? Back from the land. Not quite, and I'd like it if you both went. Both of us. If you really need it, I can go by myself. Maybe, but today is the day before Christmas, right? This isn't such an unsafe city, but it is dark outside. It was just as Nina had said. Perhaps it stemmed from the responsibility and pride of being a cultural hub, but the city was mostly peaceful. There was not much crime. Even so, the young people of this country, whose nature was to enjoy the festive atmosphere, would sometimes be boisterous at this time. Although, there were almost no instances of them intentionally harming people. Glad to hear it, lad. But you wouldn't say for sure that it could never happen. Okay, I'll go with you. Chris, thanks. I must thank you for this later. Your delicious cooking will pay me back plenty. Nina laughed softly at my flattery. So, what do you want us to buy? Everything written. Saying this, she passed a small piece of paper to Torta. Didn't I buy this yesterday? I just burnt it. It's embarrassing, so I was trying not to say anything. That's rare. These things happen. Now, if you don't go soon, I won't be able to make dinner. Yeah, ma'am. Understood. Smiling a little at the idea that even Nina could fail at cooking, I left with Torta. I wondered what to do with Forney, and was I looking at her? I was looking at her on the table when she noticed and shook her head. I'd be back anyway, and it wouldn't be that long. Alright, I'll see you later. Leaving the nodding Forney behind, I walked outside with Torta. What are we buying? Fish. Something somewhat important. It was a tradition to make fish on the eve of Christmas, and to have meat on Christmas itself. Yeah, it is really rare, though, I'll bet. Torta tilted her head as if in thought, and then quickly smiled and spoke as if she'd forgotten what she'd said. Okay, let's get going. Yeah. The city was definitely more lively than usual. In a little while, the people outside would go home to spend time with their families, and it would probably get very quiet. However, what is that noise in the background? It was still packed with people on their way home from last-minute Christmas shopping. I slid between them with Torta, quickly finishing our business. Alright, I'll leave the rest to you. Saying this, we stopped in front of the store and I gazed out. Torta said something like, "Got it," and it passed through my ears as I watched the rain. Thanks to the roof covering the sidewalk, you could walk without worrying about getting wet. Because Torta's house was relatively close, I hardly got wet at all to the way to the store. As I watched people pass by, I felt a strange discomfort. I wondered why I was even there. Both times I had spent Christmas with Arietta in the city had been from the morning of the 25th. Arietta would take the overnight train the night before and I'd meet her at the station in the morning. We'd go straight to the cathedral for Mass and then back into my apartment until late at night. The first year, Ari said that she wanted to eat the first meal I learned how to make, and I remember making pasta that night. Because Ari wrote about it in a letter I got made fun of the other day. Even the things I forgot remain in Torta's memory as something to laugh at. I'm pretty sure we ate out the second year. I didn't remember the reason, but that's just how it went. Now, it was another year later and she wasn't here. She wouldn't be there the next morning either. Though I probably wouldn't feel lonely, because I was going to spend the next day with Torta. It would be after Christmas when I wrote a letter and I sent it. And it would be another week for Ari's reply after reading my letter to reach me. I wonder what she would think. Would she laugh it off as obvious because Torta's my partner? Or... Sorry to keep you waiting. Welcome back. It's weird to say welcome back, but whatever. Anyway, I don't want dinner to be late, so let's get back. Yeah. I answered this to the girl I'd been spending the next day with as well, and I took her shopping bags as we walked. When we both got to the house, Nina and Forney standing on the table both welcomed us. Nina must have been tired, and she was waiting for us in her chair. I'm back. We're back. She scowled at me for correcting her. Then she continued as if nothing happened. Right. Well, we bought the fish. Thank you. All I have to do is cook it with some olive oil. It'll be ready soon. You want me to help? I can do that much for myself. She went back in the kitchen smiling. Huh? Oh, it's fine. She won't listen to anyone when she's like that. She's been alive for so long, so she's much better than I am at cooking. Better than you? That doesn't mean much. Oh, wow. You went there. Nah, I'm kidding. You practice, right? Whenever you think you're good enough, I want you to try your cooking. I don't like hearing that, but I guess it can't be helped. Seeming to remember her past, she said as if she really couldn't help it. So what should we practice now? Well, I think practice has gone enough for today. We can't practice much tomorrow, so I think it's okay to spend Christmas together quietly. Even though you were saying we need to practice so much, it's a problem motivation. Also, it's probably better to practice a little bit every day. I guess that's true. I turned my gaze to Forney, who was staring into the distance as if she was deep in thought. I couldn't talk to her right away, so I made a mental note. Just after that, I heard Nina's voice from the kitchen. It's ready. You come and get it. Coming. Do you want me to help too? Grandma would never let a guest do that. I was the one who was using the formal language, so they were supposed to treat me as a guest. I watched Torta hurry in the kitchen, then spoke to Forney, who was sitting in front of the Fortelli looking bored. You look bored. It would have been bad if someone heard me, so I lightly played the song we were practicing with one hand. Not really. It took Forney a while to notice me, but then she answered. It's probably okay while we were practicing, but we're just going to eat now. Listening to you and Torta talk keeps me from getting bored. But you look really, really bored. Oh, I was just thinking about things. I had noticed you looked at me quite a bit. Oh, I see. I sensed Torta walking out of the kitchen behind me with the food and stopped talking. Here you are, it's hot, be careful. Saying this, she set a plate of something on the table right behind me. Oh, yeah, Torta. I couldn't stand quitting a song partway through, and instead I replied without turning around. She didn't notice and hummed as she returned to the kitchen. She brought more and more food from it. It was very suitable for Natale, but it was very little for only us to eat. With the food in front of us, a slightly solemn atmosphere prevailed. Nina offered a simple prayer, and the flames of the candles wavered. Now then, enough of formality. Eat as much as you like. Yes. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Forney sat on the edges of the table listening to our conversation. Sometimes she looked out at nothing as if she was bored. As for me, I felt like I was gazing at this painting of the Natale scene from far away. I felt like I was no longer myself, just like when I was playing. At times like those, I was either throwing myself into a performance or chatting with someone while wearing a smile as if nothing had ever happened. It was times like these that I felt the most natural, and I'm sure that other people saw that as well. Then, you know what Chris said? Game? What was it again? Oh, it's all letting me. This is going in real time! Nina's laugh made the flames waver again. That's when I thought this was the proper way to spend Christmas. Unlike the nobility with their mansions, most of the students who lived here went home. There were quite a few third-year students who remained to practice, but they were still in the minority. Then there was me, who hadn't returned home in 3 years. My parents had told me it wasn't especially necessary for me to return. Torta hadn't returned home either, so perhaps it was a family tradition for both of us, or we just came from the area of easygoing people. I thought of these things while I continued to eat. The smile didn't leave my face, and the conversation flowed naturally from my mouth, but despite that, I felt like I wasn't really there. Now then, we finished cleaning up after dinner and continued talking. Torta and I with our after-dinner espressos, and Nina with her chamomile tea. The strange feeling from before had disappeared, and things were just the same as always. Now, I have a special present for you. A present? Could that be what you were talking about before? You didn't have to get... Well, perhaps more than anything, it's something I don't want to go to waste. I can't go to this, so I was hoping you would. Well, I had no idea what she meant. Nina took out a small envelope from her pocket. Did you know there's a performance at the concert hall tomorrow? I have 2 tickets. What? But that's a performance that you look forward to every year. I can go next year and the year after. You two have never been together. This is your last year here, so it's perfect. But we should practice. Remember, listening to good music is a form of practice. Didn't you learn that? We did. It's a group made up of the school's alumni, so listening to them before your graduation recital could never be bad. But 2 tickets? I was thinking of going with you, but you have a splendid partner. I'd rather you go with him. I shouldn't. Chris? They weren't strong words at all, but strangely, she stopped me in my tracks. You will go. It's no use. You know how stubborn Grandma is. Yeah, thank you very much. You are welcome. The concert starts at 3, so if you're going to Mass, go early. So, can you come early? I suppose I could. What time? Like 9. That is early. Even though you're always up that early with Aries, is there something wrong with me? No. So you could wake up then, right? I just wanted to sleep in this year. No, the refrain route is after this one, mate. Oh, and you don't have to dress formally, but you could come in your uniform. And nothing is refrained here. That is untouchable. Understood. Well, I should head home soon. Looks like I have an early morning tomorrow. I guess you do. Alright, see you tomorrow. Forney walked near my hand as if she had been waiting. I casually picked her up and I put her on my shoulder. Where should we meet? Why don't you come to pick her up? Why don't you come pick her up? Alright, I'll be here at 9. Just as Forney suddenly said this in my ear, she said the same thing. Nina said the same thing, so it was the only way I could answer. Will you really come? There's no other choice. That's not very nice. I'm kidding. I was thinking I'd pick you up anyways. Okay, no problem. Just wait for it. It's a ride. It doesn't matter, so here tomorrow at 9? Yeah. You can't come in casual clothes, though. Yeah. I lightly said my farewells and stepped out into the rain. Were you really not bored? I said I was fine. Well, that's alright then. So what are you going to do tomorrow? Oh, about that. Can I ask a favor? Make Little Busters great again. That's just a ride, man. I can't say anything more than that. You want me to take you, right? No, I just want you to take me to Torta's house. You want me to leave you at Torta's house? That's right. I don't like staying home alone, but I don't want to impose. You wouldn't be imposing. I'm just going to church and then to concert. Are you really not interested in other people's performances? That's not it. I don't want to go. This isn't you showing some kind of courtesy, is it? No. I don't want to go, but I don't want to be alone. I'll ask you again. Will you really not come with us? I said I'm fine. You're weird. So make sure to come get me at night. Well, I have to bring Torta home, so I'll get you then. Okay. I was waiting for her retort, but for some reason she smiled and answered like that. Hey, it's Christmas. I woke up quite early for me and started getting ready to go out. On this day and only each day this year, the people I met and the clothes I wore were different. Hey, won't you be late if you don't leave right now? I'll make it if I run. It's hard to stay on your shoulders, so leave when you have enough time to walk. I laughed, listening to her selfish request. Since I wouldn't be able to spend much time with her for a while from then on, I had to give her that much. Sorry, let me just put on my uniform. I put on my uniform jacket as Nina had said to do, and I was ready to go out right away. When I inhaled the cool air, it was enough for me to feel like Christmas morning. There weren't many people out, and a sort of a solemn atmosphere was in the air. I shivered from the cold and was worried about Phony for a moment, but then I remembered I didn't need to. Are you cold? Yeah, a little. I answered this way, and something about the apartment's mailbox caught my attention. I soon realized no letter would be there, and even if it was, I had no time to read it. We should just hurry up. Morning, looks like you actually came. Yeah, looks like it. The fact that Phony woke me up was a secret. I couldn't just leave right away, so I asked after Nina, trying not to sound unnatural. Is Nina already awake? Of course, she's up early every day. Oh, I should go say hi then. I slid by Torta as she stood at the door and approached Nina's chair. Is the top of the table alright? Yeah, please. I said this so only Phony could hear and answered in her normal voice. Good morning. Oh, it's you. Good morning. She wasn't supposed to be able to see, but I knew she was there. Or she knew I was there. Sorry. At that instant, Phony flitted gracefully down the table and waved. Oh, thank you. Huh? Because you came to say hi. Oh, right. Thank you for today, for the tickets. I know you were really looking forward by going to yourself. No, that's alright. Go listen to a lot of good music. Yes, ma'am. I wonder if she could hear Phony. We have to go pray soon. Oh, yeah. Torta must not have been able to wait anymore as she came in from the entry. Okay, I'll see you guys later. Grandma, it depends on the time, but is it okay if we don't come back before the concert? That's fine. It may be difficult for you to find a place to eat, but I don't mind. Yes, ma'am. As expected, there were many people on the main street. Most of the stores were closed, so almost all the people must have been on their way to church. Today's mass was different from those held on other holidays. The ceremony itself was unceremonious. Okay, we've already read this. Nina would normally go to church, but her legs were so bad she couldn't come with us. They're going to they're going to Key Live. They're going to go sing the Little Busters opening with Rika. The people of this country would probably insist that one should go regardless, but in this city, priest and his father, yeah, we got that. Okay. It's nice there aren't so many people out. It's been like this every year, I don't notice. Be grateful to Eri. I suppose so. So what time do you usually come? I don't want to run into you in Eri, so I kind of wander over at noon. Hey, people are gonna line up if we just stand here. Saying this, Torta moved tauntingly ahead. Now that we'd come this far, we could see people streaming towards the church. I hurried to catch up with Torta in the middle of the stream, who was smiling while humming the verse of her hymn. What? Singing all of a sudden. Come on, can't you hear it? While I listened, I could barely hear voices in what sounded like a hymn. You could sing it? We learned them. I suppose Fortelli students don't. We do simple vocal songs. And there are a lot of students from the communal school singing at today's mass. Really? You know that they sing hymns in church all day long, right? It'd be impossible for one choir to do it, so they split up into about 3 groups. A fair few people are needed and our school recruits a certain number every year. I guess there's no pay for that kind of thing though, huh? Of course not. They do get food though. You won't do it? Do I look like I would? This is just my opinion, but I said it because you look like you would. Really? Well, I'm pretty busy now. Well, that's your choice to make. I don't really care. Exactly. As we walked and talked, the singing voices got louder and louder. The fog shrouded church, and the whiteness of its stones looked beautiful and majestic. I couldn't normally feel the presence of God, but when I went to a church like this, I could do so intensely. Even so, there's a long line. There were already a fair amount of people lined up in the open space in front of the church. Despite how many people were there, the area was strangely quiet. Everyone was calm, and I could feel a mysterious atmosphere even in the air around us. It wasn't that everyone was silent, though, and I could sometimes hear whispered words here and there, and voices that weren't quite a buzz. But even that was the only breaks in between the hymns echoing from the cathedral. I spoke to Torta in the same whispered voice. Maybe about 30 more minutes. Huh? There are more people than I thought. It probably might be an hour. There's usually half this many at this hour. Yeah. Saying only this in reply, Torta frowned as if to tell me not to talk so much, then smiled as if to say it couldn't be helped. Then she turned her gaze to the front of the line. I gazed casually at her profile. Torta's behavior strongly reminded me of a person that I knew. Arietta always laughed reluctantly after scolding me. They were similar. I couldn't help but think so. They were identical twins, so of course their faces were similar, but this was something completely different. Anyone who knew the twins for a long time would certainly have the same feeling. In other words, they weren't similar. The way they spoke, the way they treated people, what they were good, what they were bad at. I remembered what Torta said before on our way home from shopping. It may have been true that each would cover for what the other one lacked. Time passed as we listened to the hymns, and we were finally able to enter the church. When we entered the cathedral, there were large shelves to the right and left that contained holy water. In keeping with the standard procedure, I dipped my fingers in it and likely touched my head, chest, and the left and right shoulders as a cross. Taking just one step inside, we were surrounded by the choir music, more overwhelming than what we could have imagined. Torta listened to the voices and closed her eyes. Right at the back, the priest placed his hand over the heads of the people in line, murmuring something. More than half of those who would receive blessings remained in the church, while the other were moved towards the exit. To calm my mind, I averted my eyes and closed them like Torta did. We got this. When I opened my eyes, the line had moved forward, and it was almost my turn. Both of us were in a single line. Torta and I would be blessed together. As the person in front of me appeared, it was our turn. Bless me, Father. We both said this at the same time and took a step forward. Huh. It's the same CG as Arietta. We held our hands upon in prayer, whereupon the Father touched our heads. It was an old language, so I didn't understand the meaning, but the words I caught here and there were ones I remembered. They were verses from the teachings. I wasn't letting the words pass over me, but they wouldn't really stick in my head. It was just a large palm touching my hand, and the next instant it was over as if nothing had happened at all. I glanced sideways to check on Torta, and she also had her eyes closed to quietly receive the blessing. I gazed at her profile as if charmed. It was shockingly like my girlfriend's. Highlight. Starred. Asterisked. Huh. What did he mean by this? Huh. If you added to the expressionless face that was the two, then you could say that I was thinking natural. But it wasn't only that, though. I couldn't help but feel it was something special. Let's go. Torta said to me softly to know she was done. We moved to the side of the line, and I spoke in the same soft voice. So after this, we'll stay a little longer. Oh, yeah. I was going to say that we should pray, but that was normal, so it seemed Torta was thinking the same thing. On either side of the line, people were offering their prayers, their eyes closed in mediation, and we did the same. I reflected on the person I'd become. Thinking back like this, I'd realized I'm nothing but selfish. I'd been selfish about my partner, all the people I'd been involved with. I couldn't put my feelings into words, but I imagined them. Ari, Forney, Cordell, Asano, Tortanita. How long were we like that? There was a momentary silence between the songs. I took the chance to open my eyes, and this time Torta was gazing at my profile. Huh? We should get going. Saying this, Torta and I hurried towards the exit. There may not have been a reason, just like when I was looking at Torta before. I couldn't run, and besides I didn't feel like running, so I slowly strolled behind her. You're slow. You're the one that rushed ahead. I thought of revisiting my previous question, but stopped myself. Instead, I asked about her plans. What are we going to do now? Maybe lunch? We left at 9:30, or thereabout. We were in the line longer than that, but isn't it still really early? If we were an hour later, the line would have been an hour longer, so I think we got there at the right time. Is that so? Just look at yourself. Torta moved aside, and I could see that there were many more people lined up than we arrived. Wow, everyone is quite religious. Just the opposite. They don't come to Mass except for occasions like this. Well, I guess then we're like them. That's right. So what are we going to do now? Should we stop back at your house? If we go back now, the Father will probably be there. We're finished praying, and practice doesn't seem appropriate. True, but it's too long to wait till the concert. That reminds me, did you eat breakfast this morning? What? Sorry for this. Final Fantasy 13 Remake will be coming to PS4, Xbox One, and Switch. Rumor? Okay. It's probably just a rumor. Never mind. Anyways, maybe you heard it from me first. Were you planning on going like that until nighttime? I hadn't thought about it, but we're not going to practice. Should that be okay, right? 3 meals a day. That's fundamental, right? I guess it's 2 for you now. Well, yeah, I almost never eat breakfast. But I can't just let you eat only 1 meal. Do you want to go back to my place and eat something? I thought of that, but why don't we just look around town? And you drink some water. Around town. But aren't most of the shops closed today? Even so, I'm sure at least one is open. I'm not that hungry yet, so we should be fine looking for a while. I'm not that hungry either, so I guess that works. It's decided then. We'll get cold standing around, so let's go. Looking a little pleased, she started walking ahead of me. She was taking in all the initiative. It was totally the opposite of being with Ari, and I thought this was actually easier. We came to a roof street, and I was finally able to brush off the water droplets from my hair and shoulders. That being said, it was light rain, so I didn't have much to worry about. Does it bother you that much? Just a little. Torta seemed to be in high spirits as she walked normally without showing the slightest care. Oh, that store's open. She pointed at what seemed to be a slightly high-end restaurant. It was a sidewalk cafe type, where you would normally see in the nude district, and the customers were of an older age group. Even if today was a special day, a student wouldn't think to eat there. It looks expensive though. Maybe we should go home. Let's look around some more. Go ahead. As we looked, we arrived at the piazza that was directly in the middle of the main road that joined the new district and the old district. I didn't know when it was made, but the sky was covered with a beautiful canopy that reminded me of a cathedral, and it protected pedestrians from the rain. Light passed well through the canopy and made from a finely blended bronze and glass. I never thought it was dark even in the rain. I felt it especially strongly on days like today when the rain was weak. What about that? Saying this as she walked, Torta approached the stall without waiting my answer. The only thing written on the simple wooden sign standing in front of the stall was that they were selling calzones at an affordable price. There was nothing resembling a menu on display, so it seemed like that was all they sold. On top of the stand, the name and the portly old man making calzones inside was Marcos Calzones. Okay, this will be my first time to ever try one. What, you too? A calzone is a type of pizza, except the toppings are put inside the bread, so it's good for eating on the move. We'd almost never seen one where we lived, but one could apparently see this type of stall regularly in the southern part of the country. For someone like me who cooked for themselves and almost never went outside, I didn't have an opportunity to see them. I thought it wouldn't be strange for Torta to have eaten one, though. So this is good, then. I'm glad that he came out here like a day. Everyone has the day off, so he probably does better business than you think. It seemed my assumption was correct. Since we approached still in conversation, we could see a few customers buying from the stall. It was lunchtime, and the people who had finished praying at the cathedral like us would definitely be hungry. The rich aroma was enough to make me hungry, even from far away. Okay, let's go. Yeah, okay. Just as we got to the front of the stall, we hit a gap in the customers so we were able to buy without lining up. Sorry to keep you waiting. Are you two students in Piova? Yeah, we are. Maybe because there was no customers behind us, the portly old man at the stall chatted easily with us. How did you know? He could probably tell from the uniforms. Not even that. Kids around your age are almost students all over there. Now that you mention it, I guess you're right. There must have been some children from families working here among them, but because the School of Institution for Higher Education was the Piova School of Music, almost all of them would do the opposite and move to another city when they reached the right age. You could also say it was because the city was surrounded by mountains. You're wearing your uniform, so are you going to the concert? Oh, yeah. Man, you know your stuff. Hey, anyone who lives in this town knows that stuff. That's true. The fact that music was the culture of the city was recognized by the people who lived here, and I had already met many people who knew more about it than I did. While oddly admiring this, the smell almost made my stomach growl. While we had to get going soon. As I took out my wallet while saying this, the old man spoke cheerfully. Okay, it'll be half price then. What? The fact that you can go to the concert today is special by that itself. If you two say how good my calzones are when you get famous, that's enough for me. It seems like there were a lot of things I didn't understand about Southerners' characters. Most of the students and lecturers came from various places, so I hadn't really noticed until then. I don't know if we'll ever be famous. Ah, I'm kidding. Hey, that means you practice a lot though, right? Everyone who lives in this city is proud of you too then. Perhaps to hide his shyness, the old man laughed loudly and gave a warm smile. Well, thank you. Feeling a little happy, I bowed deeply and took the 2 calzones and small paper wrappings. Torta smiled back as she said thank you, and we walked together to the fountain in the middle of the piazza. We sat down like before to open the tops of the paper wrappings and took a bite of the still hot calzones. This is good. It is. It had been a long time since I'd eaten outside and it made me feel exuberant. It was like I was a kid again. It didn't happen very often, but when I was little I'd stuff my cheeks with food from stalls like this. They didn't look very big, but they were packed with filling, and just eating one made me pretty filled up. I watched people leaving the piazza, and to kill time I gazed at the canopy in the sky. I listened to the rain hitting the glass, and before I knew it we'd passed almost 2 hours just sitting there together. That was really good. It wasn't so difficult to start a conversation like that. Yeah, it was better than I thought. Even so, that was your first one too, wasn't it? Don't you like that kind of thing? Hey, what kind of image do you have of me? Well, that may have been the case before I came here. That's exactly the image I have. Like on our way home from the music school, you'd always be eating something behind Ari and I. Why do you only remember stuff like that? Besides, I always shared. It was always your idea to buy it. I won't deny that. Not that you won't, but you can't. But from the way that old man talked, it looks as if he'd been working here for a super long time. I've never seen him at night. Maybe he closes in the evening. Yeah, so that doesn't mean you overcooked it, right? Or overlooked it. Well, I know about it, but I've been busy since I came here. I didn't have the time. I see. Ari and I knew just how hard Torta had worked to become here. Since we'd come to the school, our classes and where we lived were different, so we were no longer able to know things about each other. I sort of understood all the hard work Torta had put in. Because of that, she couldn't even buy food she liked to. You've worked really hard to be here. Alright, you guys, I'm sorry, please don't hate me, but maybe it's because of the 3-hour stream that I'm not used to, but my voice is starting to hurt, so my throat is getting raw. So I'm actually gonna go ahead and end it here. I'm so sorry, but my throat is hurty. Tomorrow I'll be streaming more Symphonic Rain and less Crisis Core, since Crisis Core is pretty much done. I'll probably play that for like an hour and then focus on this one for 2.5, depending on the 7 remake, of course. But I will see you guys then. I'm sorry again, but I want to make sure I'm not getting sick or anything like that, so I'm gonna go take some medicine and hope my throat feels better. Anyways, thank you guys. I'll see you tomorrow. Sorry again about cutting it so short, but at least we've gone past a day. Thank you guys again for joining for Crisis Core and Symphonic Rain, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a nice night.